Animals possess an extraordinary development of their extrasensory faculties, which we humans lack. They are able to predict earthquakes, diseases, even the death of people, and it is also believed that they may have telepathy. Before an earthquake, animals disappear, and those that are enclosed like dogs begin to howl for no apparent reason, and others like fish jump out of the water. Moles come out of their burrows, and animals that hibernate come out of their dens before the tremor. Dogs do not see more than 300 meters. However, it is believed that they can see colors that we do not see, and they are able to see the aura. Their sense of smell is 40 times more developed than ours. Their hearing is superior to ours. They perceive sounds that are inaudible to humans, and it is even believed that they are able to read the thoughts of their owners. Cats also perceive sounds and vibrations that we are unable to feel. Some dogs become sad when their owner is in danger or sick, without showing any symptoms, or they know when their owner is coming home. Biologist Rupert Sheldrake became interested in this subject some 25 years ago and began observing evidence of telepathy in pets. He collected more than 4,700 stories. According to the surveys carried out in the USA and Great Britain, it was concluded that between 45 and 52% of pet owners stated that they had noticed that their pets had telepathy. These were able to know when their owners were going to arrive home, from the very moment they decided to return. Let's look at one of the many experiments conducted by Sheldrake. In 1991, Pamela's parents noticed that their dog, JD, seemed to know when their daughter was coming home because he would go to the door just as she decided to go home. In May 1994, Pamela and her parents began taking notes of their travels and JD's reactions. On the last one, she went as far as 51 kilometers away. They were able to observe that there was a relationship between the moment when she goes to the door and the moment when Pamela decides to return home. It didn't matter how far away Pamela was. The reactions of both JD and Pamela's movements were videotaped and showed that the dog reacted 11 seconds after Pamela randomly decided to go home. Currently, science cannot explain JD's reactions. Nor can science explain why we sometimes see dogs or cats barking or meowing at a fixed point, where we see nothing. It seems as if they are able to sense energies that we don't even feel. In the 60s, the North American parapsychologist Dr. Robert Morris used animals for his experiments, investigating a house that supposedly had negative presences. He first introduced the dog, which, when within 3 feet of the house, began barking at its own owner and then left the premises. There was no way he could get the dog back inside. Then the cat, which entered the house in its owner's arms. When it reached a distance similar to that of the dog, it immediately jumped onto the shoulders of its master, digging its nails into him. Then it jumped to the floor and looked at an empty chair, situated in a corner of the house, until it was removed from there. The snake, on being placed inside the house, immediately adopted an attack position, directed towards the same chair. After a few minutes, it slowly turned its head towards the window, then averted its eyes and returned to its attack position. The only animal that had no reaction was the mouse. After some time, all 4 animals were tested elsewhere and behaved normally. There are some really impressive stories like the one that happened in the town of Fernan Núñez, in the province of Córdoba, Spain. Its protagonist was called Moro, a stray dog that nobody knows how he arrived in the village. According to the story, he was seen for the first time, around 1970, under an olive tree, next to the corpse of a homeless man who could well have been his owner. Moro seemed to know the fate of people who were about to die. When death was near for one of the inhabitants of the village, Moro approached his door and stayed there until he died, then attended his burial, as one more of those who accompanied the deceased. The news was picked up by the national and international press. Even German television did a report on this animal. Its perception reached such an extreme that when a deceased person was transferred to the village from another place, it would wait for the hearse at the entrance to the town. Then he would go to the house where the wake was held, and finally, he would accompany the funeral procession to the cemetery. Moro died in 1983 as a result of a beating given to him by strangers. 12 years after his death, a monument dedicated to Moro was inaugurated in the Parque de las Fuentes. We found another similar case in the state of Rhode Island, USA. A cat named Oscar has a strange talent predicting death. According to Dr. Oscar Sosa, when the cat visits the residents of the Providence Senior Rehabilitation Center, it is a sign that a patient is going to die in the next 4 hours. The doctor claimed that the cat predicted the death of more than 25 elderly people. The sensitivity of animals, especially dogs and cats, to paranormal phenomena is impressive. Karen Gibson, a 62-year-old woman from Portsmouth, decided to go to her doctor after her dog, a Labrador, kept touching her chest with his paw. It turned out she had breast cancer. Dogs are able to warn epileptic people when they are about to have a seizure. They also have a special sensitivity to people who suffer from some kind of mental disability and are able to detect diabetes.z. We have long known that terrestrial magnetism guides the long migrations of birds or butterflies, but it has also been possible to verify magnetic orientation in bees, termites, mice, bacteria, mole rats, lobsters, fish, sea turtles, wolves, and bats. In other words, almost all of them. In 2013, a group of Czech and German researchers described that dogs tend to urinate and defecate along north-south magnetic lines. The scientists added that this explained why they turn around so much before going to relieve themselves. It is also known that bees are able to see the aura of people, since they sting in those areas of the human body where the energy does not flow normally. For this reason, they have been used since ancient times to heal. In ancient civilizations, respectful and intuitive contact with animals was normal. It may be that telepathy is also accessible to all human beings, that it is an innate capacity that we have ignored and discarded at present, but that it could be a very valuable tool in this era to break our isolation as a species. Ancient peoples had a great respect for all life. For them, everything was sacred, and they claimed to be able to communicate with animals and plants. Communication with animals can help us to live in a wiser and more conscious way. Perhaps the time has come to recover the powers of our ancestors.